So you should have read about continental drift, and you should have listed 4 pieces of evidence for that support it. That was in your notes, and I'm just going to review those right here. So you've read about continental drift, but think about it. Continents are huge. They're massive. Doesn't it seem a bit strange that they actually move and then move thousands of miles? I mean, you've heard about this your entire life, so it doesn't seem that strange. But think about it. That's crazy. We can't just accept that without some strong evidence. So we should have a trial. Here's a lawyer, and he's going to argue a case. And in this case, we have continental drift, this idea that the Earth's continents move. That's an idea that's going to be on trial. So with science, we have to have evidence. You can have a great idea, and that's fine, but you got to have some evidence. So we need supporting evidence, and not only that, there has to be a motive. There has to be a reason for it to happen. So an explanation of how it happens is going to be necessary as well. So let's see what kind of case we have. Looking at the evidence, the first thing we notice is this outline right here. Boy, South America really looks like it fits into Africa. And if you look around, it's not just there. There's all these other parts where that works out. So we're going to call that the puzzle fit of continents. It just kind of looks like they fit together, especially South America and Africa. So that's evidence number 1. Interesting, but on its own, just interesting. What's another piece of evidence? Well, move my picture here. Not only do they fit together as a continent, as puzzle pieces, but the rocks match up. So rocks in North America on the coast sort of match the rocks on the coast of Africa. Same with Greenland and Norway or Sweden, that area up there. They're just these similar rocks, as if they were together. Those rocks were made together at some point and then they were split up. So we're going to call that mountain systems are similar on separate continents. That seems like evidence that they were created together at some point. Also, not only were they the puzzle pit, not only are the rocks similar, but there are species of animals and plants that can't swim across big oceans that are fossils that are on 2 different continents separated by an ocean, as if these 2 areas were close to each other at some point where these animals could just walk from here to there. And then the continent was split. So we're going to call that fossils of the same animal found on different continents. Now, they thought at some point that maybe there was some kind of land bridge that connected these, but that's a long, multi-thousand-mile land bridge. Kind of crazy. What else? Well, this is just a continuation. Not only are there several fossils, say in South America and in Africa, but like right here we saw, but there's also other groupings of fossils that appear on separate continents, some of them in all 5 continents. And how would that be unless they were connected? Now this, if you look carefully, and this umbrella is in there just for scale, here's a rock that has these scrape lines on it. Well, they know from looking at the world now that these lines are created by moving glaciers. So these glacial scratches are created by this moving rivers of ice. Here's a long river of ice. The snow pack is packed in here, and it kind of creates ice, and the ice sort of squirts out from underneath it, and underneath this ice that's moving, maybe 3 feet a year, it just scours the rocks underneath it. But how are these glacial marks made where there's no ice? As if, they're in the tropics, and so this rock must have been where it was very, very cold before. So rocks with glacial scratches, they're in the tropics. And then we kind of have the flip side, which is this is a fossil here of a big leaf. And where do you find very big leaves? Big leaves are like in the jungle, in tropical areas. You don't find them in very cold areas. And this is a fossil that is in Antarctica. So it looks like millions of years ago, Antarctica had tropical plants. So we have fossils of tropical species found in Antarctica, as if Antarctica used to be where it was much warmer. So there's 5 pieces of evidence. You were supposed to have 4 from the book, but all this evidence, we still cannot accept this theory of this idea of continental drift. Why? Because it's still crazy. We still don't have any mechanism for why it would happen. Sounds like good evidence, but the analogy I like to use is one of my students who I get along with really well is accused of murdering me. Why would they do it? They're getting a decent grade. We seem to be getting along fine. It just doesn't make any sense. It's got to be some other reason. And you couldn't convict somebody unless there was a motive. So this theory is still not accepted. We need something else. And we're going to find it, but we're going to need some other things.